I gave myself away to the patterns of this world, but I know you love me anyway. So what am I to do but revel in this grace and make the most of what I have and just know you love me anyway. Thanks. We've all got our thorns and they're not coming out. No, they're not coming out, but we keep pulling. Yeah, we all have our days and we're thinking about, all we're thinking about is what we're lacking. And I'm thankful, yeah, I'm so thankful Thanks, everyone. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best, try everything you can, and don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some time, little dirt in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, you know they're all the same. You know you're doing better on your own, so don't buy in. Just live right now, but just be yourself. It doesn't matter if it's good enough for someone else. It just takes some time, little dirt in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time, little dirt in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just live right now, just be yourself. And don't you worry what their bitter hearts are gonna say. It just takes some time, little dirt in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time, little dirt in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are so thrilled to have you here. My name is Pam King. I am the chair for the board of directors of Wisdom's Wellsprings, and we'll tell you a little bit more about Wisdom's Wellsprings as we go through the night. But I am up here right now to introduce our Master of Ceremonies for the evening, Mr. Ron Watson. He is a healthcare advocate here in Tallahassee, so he does all kinds of wonderful things. He calls himself a lobbyist, but I just say he's an advocate for all things great healthcare. I've known Ron for many years, and he is just a wonderful person. So welcome, Ron Watson.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all so very much for being here. My wife, Dana, is on the board, and she came to me and she said, Ron, we'd like you to be the backup MC. And I said, okay, sure, I'll be the backup MC. So I guess I need to apologize to you all in advance that you're getting the backup today. But I got to tell you, I'm never really sure there was anybody ahead of me. So Just saying. And when she told me that I was going to be the master of ceremonies, the first thing that popped into my head was, well, I should probably be called the apprentice of a ceremonies because I've never done this before. So with that being said, I guess like she said, I am a lobbyist. I've been a lobbyist for 27 years, so I suppose that I run my mouth for a living, and that may qualify me to be master of ceremonies. So with that, I look forward to an evening of fun, family, friends, fellowship, and most importantly, fundraising. Let me start by thanking all the many volunteers in this group. No organization can stay afloat without volunteers. We have many of them. They're all crucially important. I'd also like to thank the mentors, the board members, and especially the sponsors. Without the sponsors, we wouldn't be here today. So Melody's Hair Care, Prime Meridian Bank, Mr. and Mrs. Bob Paulison, Miss Alice Fisher, Miss Karen McIntyre, Lucky Goat Coffee, Alien World Computer Techs, who, by the way, has the coolest logo I've ever seen, Health Solutions Medical Weight Loss, Havana Ford, and the Florida Osteopathic Medical Association. I actually used to work at the Florida Osteopathic Medical Association many, many years ago. So again, we would very much like to thank all of our sponsors, and I'd like to remind everybody that we have a raffle out in the other little waiting area. There are 4 things out there being raffled. One of them is a bike, a couple of other smaller items, and you can just choose the amount of money that you choose to put in there and put your name on the raffle, and we'll be having some winners later. We also have a silent auction this evening, and then we're going to end it with a live auction. So again, it's all about fun, family, friends, fellowship, but really it's about fundraising. So we would love to have everyone participate. Let's go ahead and get started. One more thing. We have a money tree out there as well. So if you don't care about your tax deduction, you can slap some money right onto the money tree, or we take credit card, check, PayPal, or electronic transfer. So with that out of the way, can we please invite Alice up to do our invocation?
Thank you, Ron. I just want to say welcome and thank you, each and every one of you who are here this evening, for taking time out of your life to come and be a part of this event. We're just happy you're here, and we hope you're going to have a great time. But none of this would be possible if we don't give thanks to our Lord. So will you join me in a word of prayer? Oh, come, Holy Spirit, we welcome you into this space, and we love, Lord, that you are the one who intersects with lives, and you are the one who weaves us together like a fine tapestry as you transform lives with your wonderful Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for Jesus, who gave his life for us that we might have life and that we might have it to the full. Now, Lord, we just ask your blessing upon this event, upon every aspect of it. We thank you for those who are willing to give of their time to speak. We ask your blessing and favor upon the coaches who are here and the speakers who are here and the performers who are here. We thank you for the food we're about to eat, Lord, and we ask that you would bless it and nourish us with it, that we might indeed remember that our purpose is to glorify you in every way. So be glorified, Lord, and just, Father, I just pray an abundant blessing of good time here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Now with that, this makes me the most popular man of the evening. The buffet is open, so I will steer people over to go ahead and start gathering some food. And if we want to start with Coach's table right here, we can lead the way, Coach. While everyone continues to eat, we're going to invite Alice up to kind of tell and share the story of Wisdom's Wellspring. So continue eating, enjoy, and Alice, if you would please come up and share with us this wonderful story.
Thank you again, Ron. So it's a long story, but I'm going to make it short. About 6 years ago, I was a student in Asbury Theological Seminary and wondering what my ministry is. And I found myself in front of a young woman who was 17 years old, and she was at a food bank that I was volunteering at. That food bank is called Community Cares. It's located in Havana, Florida. And that wonderful food bank does great work for the community. But this young woman was there for food, and as I listened to her story, I learned that she and her 15-year-old brother were living without adult supervision in their dead grandmother's home. She told me that she was still in school, in high school, that she was going to graduate, and that she had a hope and a dream of one day becoming a forensic pathologist. Well, I thought, what a big dream for a kid who has no adults in her life. And as I chatted with her, I learned that her grandmother was apparently the foundation, the strength upon which she had leaned and had learned from. But as I considered this young woman's circumstances and when she departed, I really prayed for her. I realized that she was swimming against a tidal wave because with a hope and a dream like that, without any resources, the reality of her circumstances might be that that dream might always remain a dream. So as I prayed for her, the Lord gave me a vision. What if there was a place for a young woman like that? A young woman with a lot of potential, but without resources, and without resources at very high risk for dependency, for homelessness, for living a life of desperation. And that's how the vision came to be. Now, when you have a dream and you have a vision, you wonder, how is it all going to happen? So I have to tell you that it would not have happened without God's faithfulness. That's another whole story for another day. But here's what I want you to know. About 3 years after that vision first came to me, wonderful board of directors was formed, wonderful volunteers stepped forward, people who believed in what we were trying to accomplish stepped forward. And so God moved in the lives of others, and Wisdom's Wellspring became a reality 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago, we opened our doors. And we opened our doors with one resident. And I just want to tell you a little bit of her story. When I met her, she was homeless. She had finished 3 years of college and dropped out. She had no money. She had no hope, really. She was ready to kind of give up. And so she became our first resident. Well, 2.5 years later, she has completed our program. She's moved out. But let me tell you what she did in the 2 years she was with Wisdom's Wellspring. She finished college. She got her first professional job and was promoted. She bought her first car and paid for it. And now she's in her own place. That's the kind of young person that Wisdom's Wellspring helps. But God's still moving. We have 7 wonderful young women at Wisdom's Wellspring. And you're going to hear from our resident director in just a little while. She is an amazing young woman, and I'm just going to let her tell her story, but I'll just brag on her a little bit. How many of you would go to FSU and pursue 2 master's degrees at one time? Didn't think so. I didn't see any hands raised. Well, that's exactly what she is doing. We have a young woman who I met when she was an FSU student living in her car. Now, that's what I call determination. If you're that determined to get your education, I'm glad we have Wisdom's Wellspring to get you out of your car and in a safe place. So we have a young woman who just graduated from high school at Wisdom's Wellspring. We have another young woman who just finished her master's degree at FAMU living at Wisdom's Wellspring. So we have a college graduate, a graduate school graduate, and a high school graduate. And these are just some of the young women. We have another young woman who has a dream of becoming an attorney. She wants to be an advocate for kids coming out of the foster care system. And we hope that Wisdom's Wellspring will help her fulfill that dream because she deserves it. And so this is the reason we do what we do. But God is not done with Wisdom's Wellspring yet, because Pam King, who's our board chair, when I met her, said to me, "Do you know, Alice, that God has given me this same vision, but for young men?" And so we know that God is going to make good on that vision because God is the faithful one. We never know what we're going to have with Wisdom's Wellspring. We get no state funding. We get no federal funding. We get no local funding. We get no grant funding because we don't do what most other ministries do. We are in a prevention kind of ministry. There are wonderful organizations out there who feed people, who clothe them, who give them places to live, who are doing great things with people in need. But there are very few organizations who are trying to prevent people from being in those needy situations. And that's what we do. And so because we don't fit a neat little niche, we don't qualify for a lot of the funding that's available out there. But you know, God is faithful because you're here. And you are just like so many of the wonderful people who have supported Wisdom's Wellspring over the years that we have been open and even before then. We started with very little, lots of spaghetti dinners and a hope and a dream and faith in the Lord. When we were getting ready to build our facility, we had $12,000. We didn't know where the rest of the money was going to come from because we needed to renovate an old building to fit it for residency. So with $12,000, we ended up spending $32,000. And that's within just a few month period of time. The miracle story here, and if you don't believe God's in the miracle-making business, let me tell you, God is still in the miracle-making business, because we were ready to open our doors when we learned from the city of Tallahassee that our fire suppression system was not going to meet code. And we were going to have to spend another $10,000. I was ready to take out a second mortgage on my house. I didn't tell my husband. But within a couple of 3 weeks, 2 people, unknown to each other, and neither of whom knew anything about our need. One of them actually lived out of state. One sent a check for $5,000, and the other person, I don't know their name, they're anonymous, sent another $5,000. We got exactly what we needed, and that's been our lesson. God has provided what we've needed for the day we've needed it. So we hope that you also can share in our hope and our vision and our dream so that young men one day will be able to go to a place for them that will also be a Wisdom's Wellspring. I want to thank you again for being here, for listening to this story. It is a story of hope, it is a story of faith, and it is a story of trusting in God. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
That's kind of hard to follow there, isn't it? Evening with the Stars. That's what we're celebrating tonight, and we have several stars with us. I'll be very brief in doing some introductions here, and then we're going to have some entertainment for you. But we have some wonderful stars here this evening. Let me start by mentioning Coach Jamie Shoup. Coach, say hello to everybody there in the back. Coach Shoup is presently the Florida A&M head baseball coach, but he is formerly the assistant coach at FSU. I think he started in 1990. I graduated in 89, so you started right after I graduated. Unbelievable career, and we're very thankful for you being here, sir. We also have Coach Jim Gladden here. And let me just say, I came to FSU in 1985, and I've never left. In 1985 and 86, let's just say we were an average football team, but then we started a run of 14 years of finishing in the top 4, and I used to kid everyone and say, well, of course it was because I went to Florida State University, but we really have a person here that had a lot to do with that particular run, so thank you so much for being here, Coach. We also have Walt Kerbelson here as well. He is a speaker extraordinaire. He is a health care guru, IT guy. Yeah, he could probably bore you to death with anything you'd want to know about healthcare and IT, so he's going to be giving a little speech here today as well. We have Libby O'Neill, who you've heard earlier play for us. She actually, this is mine and Dana's church, E3 that we're in right now. This is our home church, and we're lucky enough to hear Libby play all the time, so we're very fortunate to have her with us today. We also have, thank you. We also have Steve and Leah Pennington, and they're actually going to come up and perform as soon as I stop speaking here in a moment. And then we also have Latreva Stallworth, and she actually has a wonderful CD out in the lobby. We would love for you to support her as well. So those are some of the stars. Everybody here is a star, of course, and we very much thank you for being here. So with that, I'd like to invite up Leah and Steve.
There's all this equipment. I'm not familiar with any of this stuff. Test. Test. Okay, I know we were supposed to do some harmony, me and my daughter, but she thought she was going to have to work tonight, so she actually got off. She got up at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and I said, we got to put a song together really quickly, and that didn't happen. So I said, I'll take one, you take one. We'll just, it is what it is. Can you hear that? Huh? Sorry about the white space. Huh? Preacher man talking about the end of time. Lord knows I'm ready, don't worry. Oh, my mind. Ain't afraid of nothing because I believe. Got a sky full of angels watching over me. Oh, that's my pick. Walk through the darkness, I don't need no light. My faith in Jesus gonna be my guide. Ain't afraid of nothing because I believe. Got a sky full of angels watching over me. You can take me for granted, you can take all my gold. Nobody but Jesus gonna take my soul. Rivers are rising, I ain't got no doubt. My sweet Savior's gonna pull me out. Ain't afraid of nothing because I believe. Got a sky full of angels watching over me. Ain't afraid of nothing because I believe. Got a sky full of angels watching over me. Ain't afraid of nothing, I believe. Got a sky full of angels watching over me. Woo. Thank you, thank you. Now somebody that sings good.
Thank you. You're good. I have a pick. Leave there. You're good.
You need that?
Nope. All right. Good evening, everybody. All right. I promise you're going to know this song at one point, and I really invite you, if you feel a stirring in your heart to move, to sing, anything, that's the Lord speaking to you, and I don't want you to deny that, and I want you to sing. Anything you feel, just sing along with me whenever, if you know it, and I know you will. Grander earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calm, but with my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well with me. Far be it for me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my
Thank you so much. And how about another round of applause? We're going to move next into one of our star speakers, our introductory star speaker, Walt. He is the host of Jacksonville's Medical Update TV show. He's devoted over 35 years to work in the healthcare, privacy, security, technology, and operating, spanning all major facets of the healthcare industry. He's a keynote speaker and a featured speaker at many industry conferences, forums, summits, and events, and we're very fortunate to have him here tonight. So come on up, Walt.
Why, very good evening, and it's wonderful to be here. And the good news is, I'm not going to talk about healthcare. You get enough of that from your doctor, I think. So, but what I am is a new volunteer to Wisdom's Wellspring. I found out about this organization. You got it? Got it. There you go. I found out about this organization back in November. My dear friend Pam, who I had the great opportunity and thrill to work with at the agency. And no, that's not the FBI. That's the other agency docs are afraid of, the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration. And I did some technology work for them and some website work. So Pam asked me to kind of take out this look at the site and kind of see if I could think of a few things to do it. Pam made a few suggestions. So she had given me the URL earlier in the week. And finally on a Saturday night, I went out, sat down. Okay, I made a drink, and then I sat down. And I brought up my browser and I typed in the name. Well, you know, I misspelled it, go figure. How can you misspell Wisdom's Wellspring? I left off the S and I got the Google browser. And Google said, here's the suggestions. And we've all seen that, right? You type in a boo-boo and Google will be happy to tell you a list of suggestions. And so when I clicked on the link from Google, I got the dreaded Google Will Robinson warning message. Morning, Will Robinson, morning. Click on this link, and I promise you your computer is going to get a virus even technology penicillin cannot fix. So I sat there for a few minutes looking at that screen, looking at what Google was saying, pondering what to do. It was about 10:30 at night, so I knew calling Pam was not an option to make sure, is this really the right place I'm trying to go? And so finally I thought about it a few more minutes, made another drink. And like a drunk sailor on a Friday night, I closed my eyes and I clicked the link and hope for the best. And the good news is the site didn't have a bug, as Google had thought. I was able to get in it, and that's when I learned about this most wonderful mission and everything that you're doing here and the wonderful work of Reverend Elise, the team, the board, and everybody. And it was hard not to get involved. And so that was my start and my at least the entrance to Wisdom's Wellspring and everything that you folks do here in this community. Now, as I looked at it, one of the things that made me very much want to get involved is as I reflected on my life throughout it, I've always been touched by special women. And no, guys, I'm not talking about your mama or your girlfriend. I'm talking about a mentor, a leader, a guider, somebody that motivates you, somebody that makes you be more than you thought you could be. And in my case, one of the very first people that I can truly remember outside of my family that touched my life was in 1975, as I was a Navy corpsman thinking of becoming a doctor, doing a carpool with a bunch of other Navy guys and sailors to a college that was 60 miles away. I had a dilemma one evening. I couldn't figure out what class to pick to make my carpool with all the other sailors and Marines. You see, my challenge was I was there for pre-med. The guys coming from the base were there for pre-dating. So they would sign up for anything. They didn't care. Pottery, bakery, painting, critical thinking. They even sent the Marines in ahead of time to scout which lines all the girls were in. So my challenge was I needed a real schedule. So that evening, I sat down with a guidance counselor. And even though there were a line of kids out the door and I was like the 20th, she brought me in, took her time to really listen to me, to figure out what it is I wanted to do in life, why I was there in college, why I wanted to be a doctor. And then in the middle of that conversation, I will never forget this, the phone rang. And it was very obviously a call from home. Well, she excused herself, turned her back, kind of huddled over the phone, and it was very obvious as I looked at the list of classes she was giving me that she was a single mom. And she had family problems at home, including a babysitter that was kind of reminding her, you're about an hour late. So she got off the phone, and even though she had those other responsibilities and then those other duties, she turned back to me and like nothing had happened, focused back on her work, and she focused back on me. And as we looked through the list, and I was trying to figure out what to do, she saw a class, Intro to Data Processing, and pointed that out to me. Well, I kind of thought, I really am hoping and want to be a doctor. That's why I'm here. And I don't think I want to be a programmer. And that's when she stopped for a minute and reflected on it and said to me, well, I have this feeling with the way computers are going, healthcare is really going to grab a hold of this stuff, and computers are going to be big in healthcare. Wow. 1975, computers are as big as basements. No doctor had those in the office at the time. Bill Gates was still figuring out how to take apart his mom's toaster. There was no microprocessors. And she had the wisdom. She had the foresight. And so when I finished my tour of Navy, I got out and I exited stage left out the healthcare technology door. And I never looked back. She totally changed my life. There were so many things she could have done on that evening, from having a line of kids out the door to having kids at home waiting for her and obviously getting that phone call. But she took the time, she took the caring. And throughout other times in my life, managers, directors, a teacher that I met here in Tallahassee, got a chance when my sons were at Buck Lake to help build Buck Lake's first website with that teacher. And what she taught me in the time that I worked with her was how important it was to have that seed in your hand and how critical it was to plant it and help it grow. And I saw it through her, and from her I learned about volunteerism and activism and getting involved with children. And that's why this mission is so important. Because the reality is, when you're a woman in our society, even if you're here, and you have the picket fence, you have the roof over your head, you got that great guy in the kitchen doing the dishes, and yeah, he still won't, change the diapers, but he will take it to the trash. It's still hard being you. And while obviously I'm not, 11 years ago when my sons and I lost their mom, and I instantly became a mom and a dad overnight, I learned how hard that really was, and the coping skills and the planning skills and the management skills that you have to be you. And that's the importance of this mission, and why what Elise has done, the board, the staff, the volunteers, is so critical. Because with every young lady's life we live from here to here, it's not just that life, it's a mother. It's another life that's going to be touched, it's a leader, it's a motivator, and that's why we're so thrilled and honored that you all are here tonight to support this most important mission. Thank you. So the good news is I was the backup keynote. And thank goodness, Jim, you're here. Because you would be definitely a hard act to follow. Coach Jim Gladden is a hero, a legend, a mentor to so many young men and so many over many years. Coach was raised in Missouri on a ranch, and in 1962 got his first assistant coach job. And through that, kept going with kids, got his assistant coaching job. But by the way, the good news is, all the while, kept migrating to Florida, because as he moved up the ranks, he went through all doing coaching for high school, assistant coaching positions, then head coaching positions. The coach traveled through Kentucky and Tennessee, and finally in 1972, ended up in Hernando, Florida, teaching at Brooksville High. 2 years later, even the coach was very successful, had great community involvement, a lot of people that really wanted the coach to stay. He took a gamble, he took a risk. He came here to Tallahassee for a coach that had only been on the job 1 year, and even though he was basically an assistant teaching varsity and junior varsity, a great thing happened the following year. Well, even though that coach was gone, there was another coach that appeared on the horizon. I think it was this guy named Bobby Bowden. And he had the foresight to keep Coach Gladden around. And so that was the start of the dynamic duo for so many years. And at Florida State, the coach was a great leader and a motivator. He built a defense, par none, with the defensive lines and the defensive ends. And he also served and helped with the punt blocking team and other defensive things. But the one thing that many don't realize about Coach Gladden is the mentor that he was and the molder he was to bring talent into Jacksonville, Tallahassee. Oops, I had a flashback into Tallahassee. And so as a recruiting coach and someone that was one of the key scouts for FSU, for 18 years, talent was brought into the school because of the coach's skill and what he saw in those young players that came here. And finally, over 18 years of building the team and working with Coach Bowden, we finally, in 1993, had our very first championship, thanks to the coach, right? Hard work, but we got there. So the coach continued, and then 6 years later in 1999, that's when you kind of sort of came into my life. You see, I was a brand new adjunct professor teaching at Florida State, conducting business on the internet. And one of my first classes, I remember going in and hearing the front row of students talking about the coach that got taken out by the team in practice. Well, they kind of debated, why did the coach really get taken out? Was it that he was close to retirement, was just looking at the blue sky and kind of wandered on the field? Was it that the players were really mad at him? And I offered him the third option. No, it was the oops option. Because you see, Coach Gladden, after 27 times trying to tell those guys how to do it, got out there himself and decided to show them how it was done. Of course, one little wrinkle in that teaching lesson, the guys had helmets, pads, and cleats. The coach had sneakers, a sweatshirt, and a whistle. So the coach ended up with a broken femur and ended up missing his very first game against Virginia. But the good news is he came back. And the next week against Maryland, he was out on that field just waving that crutch at those guys. And by the way, I heard about that in class because that confirmed what the kids thought. They thought the coach was out there yelling at them, "Wait till I get off of these crutches, you'll never believe it." And so we had a win after win after win. And the other thing, teaching at a university during that time of football, was seeing the change in my staff and seeing the change in my students. Even the nerds that used to sit in the back with the button-up shirts and the pocket protectors were now wearing jerseys. They even had the hat on backwards and were getting into the school spirit. And yeah, they still had a hard time figuring out how to place that pocket protector, but they had the jersey on. And that's what I saw throughout the year, was that as we built towards the championship, the spirit in the school. And when we won on January 4th, 2000, and we got our second national championship, the following semester when I returned back to campus, I just could not believe the change. I mean, everything was wonderful. The students didn't argue with me anymore. They even started doing their homework. They stopped using cell phones, which in those days, since they were the size of walkie-talkies with a 5-foot umbrella, a little problematic in the class. And as I even walked around campus, I just couldn't believe the spirit that winning that national championship did. The kids were smiling. Even the dogs and the cats were walking around campus high-pawing each other. So the spirit, the drive, the motivation All of those things is what Coach Gladden has helped brought to us. And for a few more years, he continued to lead, continued to recruit, continued to teach until he retired in 2002 after 27 years with the Knowles, 15 years teaching high school football, and a 42-year career that few in this nation could match. So the coach is now retired. He and his wife, Cindy, live in a ranch outside of Monticello. And believe it or not, the coach went out and got himself 30 longhorn cattle. Now, people are wondering what the coach is out there doing with those cattle. But the coach's neighbor, Howard, figured it all out. You see, one day Howard and his wife, Martha, were driving by, and Howard saw a coach out in the field playing with his cows and trying to put up a pole. So Howard pulled over to the side of the road, kind of got out, and he stood there looking at what the coach was doing, and studying it and figuring out what is the coach doing. So he studied for a while, and finally Martha got a little impatient, rolled down her window, and kindly inquired of Howard, "Howard, what the hell are you doing over there?" At that point, the coach was still in the field, and finally Howard turned around and said, "Well, you know, Martha, I don't know, but it looks to me like the coach has got those cows standing out there in the middle of that field, and they are in formation, and that cow's fixing to kick a field goal, and that one's going to try to block it." It's my great pleasure to bring up and give us the real words of wisdom and inspiration, forever standing in the circle of gold, a leader of so many, so proud for our university. It's my great honor to present Coach Jim Gladden.
Like Walt was saying, I did get run over in a drill out there in 1999 and broke the ball off my hip when that occurred. And it was a lesson to me, you know, that you stand back and don't get too close. But when I was asked to come and speak to you all tonight, I really wondered what an old retired football coach could say to a group like y'all, a group of young women that we are so committed to see that they have a better life, and their support group that so many of you here are, and all of you. But I had to laugh when Patty, my wife, who's here tonight, Patty, 51 years of marriage together, and it's been wonderful. Every day's better than the next. And but when she saw the program advertised, the flyer, calling me a distinguished speaker, she had to laugh. And she says, "I don't know about that distinguished speaker." She said, when people call and ask if I'd like to speak or would speak, she said, he's not a speaker. He's a dirt road philosopher. He's a fertilizer salesman, as in manure. But anyway, it's always a pleasure to come and speak to a group. I have an opportunity to do a lot of that, Walt, and of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Jamie, Coach Shoup here a little bit. Jamie was a player out there when I was in my younger part of my career, and admired Jamie as a player, his effort, his commitment to baseball and to the team. And when Jamie left us, I knew that Jamie was going to do great things wherever he went. And of course, he has done that. He's turned that baseball program around over there at Florida A&M and brought them back to real relevance, and has just done a great job. And want you to know, Jamie, that it's not gone unnoticed. You know, we all appreciate that. I can't say that I know how to speak to a group. I thought perhaps there'd be more women here and I'd be speaking to an all ladies group, but that's not the case. I don't know, would not know how to speak to an all female group, but I know a lot about setbacks and disappointments in life. As a coach, you have those setbacks, losses as you go through the years, and they're disappointing, but you can't dwell on them. We used to tell our players that setbacks are followed by comebacks, you know, and it's easy to feel sorry for yourself. We often, in the midst of a disappointing season or a disappointing year, whatever we're doing, to sometimes say, what's the use? You know, King Solomon in the Bible, you know, he questioned that, you know. What's the purpose of this life? Well, Coach Bowden, that a guy I worked with for so long, he had a thing that he used to tell our players. What's the easiest thing in life to do? Quit. Anybody can do it. You can go down there on the corner of Railroad Avenue and Gaines. You can see a guy that might be soliciting for food or whatever. Anybody can do it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to quit. A loss or a setback in life or in a game, it's not a life sentence. It's not a life sentence. It's a lesson that we learn from. It's been said, and I'm sure that some of you have heard this, I never met a man or a lady, a strong person, that had an easy past. When we have a bad game or a bad play and we've got some players in here, we might drop a pass for a touchdown or miss a tackle that would have won the game for us. 1980, we're playing Oklahoma down there in the Orange Bowl, and a guy that I'm coaching drops an interception in the end zone. If he makes that interception, we win the game. But he dropped it, and they had one more shot. And, of course, they beat us. But you've got to put it behind you. You can't dwell on it. It's gone. If you dwell on it, it becomes stinking thinking. It becomes stinking thinking. Learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. And don't do it again. You know, Coach Bowden handled a loss better than anybody I've ever seen. He'd come in that dressing room and talk to the players after the game. And he'd say, men, that one's gone. That game's gone. If you dwell on it, you'll compound it and you'll do it again. It'll come back to bite you. In life, we were all put here for a purpose. We all have a purpose in this life. God has a plan for each one of us. In Jeremiah 29, 11 and 13, and probably many of you know this verse, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So, with that, we should take pride or take comfort in knowing that we were placed here for a purpose. He loves each and every one of us. He knows the number of hairs on our head. He counts the number of hairs on our head. He loves us so much that he sent his son, his only son, to be born of a virgin. And that son, Jesus, came for one purpose, and that was to be a blood sacrifice for my sin and your sin and all the sin of the world. He was a blood sacrifice, our Redeemer, our Savior. He was sent here for all mankind, all slayers. In the beginning, going back to the Mosaic law, when the Lord gave Moses the law, he soon saw that they couldn't keep the law. No one could keep the law. So we had a plan to give us a second chance. We couldn't follow the law, but you've got an alternative. You've got a choice to make. With all that being said, I want to get to the main point of what I wanted to tell you tonight. Consider this now. Think about this. You are not born a winner or a loser. You're not born a winner or a loser, but a chooser. You're born a chooser. And the choices that we make in life have consequences. Many times a choice will define the pathway of our life that we will follow in life. Walt was talking about our choice to come to Florida State. When we had that opportunity to come in 1975, it's the first thing Patty and I ever prayed together about. It's the first thing we hit our knees together and committed that choice to prayer. Don't take us there, Father, if you don't want us there. We got up the next morning and had peace about it. We knew that it was the right thing to do. We thought, well, the worst thing could happen is I could get fired and we'd get a better job because I had college experience now. You know, I'd be going from a college job. I'd either get a better high school job or get an opportunity at another college. So we chose to come. And it's the first thing in life. You know, I'm a defensive coach by nature, and we're getting out there and we're going to play somebody like Michael Vick that played at Virginia Tech. It was like trying to hem up a motorcycle. I mean, the guy could run like a scalded dog. You know, when you're trying to tackle the guy out there in an open field and it's like swatting at these gnats that we have around here. You know, the Georgia State bird, the gnat. So, anyway, it's the first thing in life that Patty and I committed to. Our choice was to come looking for Florida State to be a stepping stone to a better job. And it became that better job right here under our nose, you know. And fortunately, going back to Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. It wasn't a mistake that Patty and I came to Florida State. The Lord had it all the way. He knew exactly what I needed, when I needed it, and He provided. He provided for us. So take your hands off that steering wheel of life and turn it over to the Lord. He knows the plans He has for you. Patty and I we've been married 51 years, and we're looking through the rear view mirror of life rather than the windshield. And things look different than they did when we were 35 and 40. And you can look back and see the pathway or the journey of life that the Lord has led you on, and you can think of every stop that you've made and every acquaintance and relationship that you've established, and you can see and say, it was good. It was for the good. There was a reason for that. You might not have seen it at the time, but there was a reason for that. So let the Lord, our Heavenly Father, drive the train. Choose to be dependable. I'm going to use an example of a former player that I coached. Many of you may remember this guy. I know Jamie will. I had this guy named Stanley Scott that played for me. He was from down in Tampa. He was an ROTC guy, was in ROTC as well. And he went, of course, commissioned into the Army right after he graduated from Florida State, rose through the ranks of the military all the way up to full colonel, became a full colonel. And about, it's probably been 10, maybe 12 years ago, I was sitting in the athletic dining hall up there one day having lunch with Mickey Andrews. And I look up, and here comes Stanley Scott down the hall. Hadn't seen Stanley since the day he graduated. I jumped up to greet him. He saw me, and he started running toward me. And we caught each other midway in the hall. I said, Stanley, you never tackled anybody that hard as you hit me there. And he about broke my back when he hugged me. And he had two little boys with him. His son, obviously, and his son, and a friend of his son. And I said, what are you doing, Stanley? You come. I said, where are you now? He said, well, I'm up in Detroit, Michigan. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I've retired from the Army, and I'm working for the Department of Defense. And I said, well, did you go down and see your mama in Tampa? He said, no. He said, I wanted to bring my son and his friend down to watch the off-season program. The morning 5:45 a.m. mat drills that we used to do. And I said, well, that's good. He said, Coach, I got to tell you a story that happened to me. He said, you remember that sign that you had up in our meeting room that said, dependability is the best ability? I said, yes, I do. I said, that's been our theme around here for years. Dependability is the best ability. He said, you know when that hit home with me? I said, no. Tell me about it. He said, I was in charge of a battalion of men the first night that we landed in Somalia, and we're in a bombed out building. And I'm getting ready to assign the watch for the night. He said, I thought, God, Coach said dependability is the best ability. If I don't have a dependable man on that watch, I've got 20 dead soldiers the next morning. So things that we say and do, principles that we hold, again, choose to be dependable. Where you go and who you go with. Choose your friends and your acquaintances wisely. I know that a lot of you in this room will remember. Walt may remember it too. He may have been in school here. Had a great player here named Pablo Lopez. Great offensive lineman, was definitely going to be a first-round draft choice. 1986, we had an open date. Second ball game, second week of the season. And the Black Student Union had a dance up on campus in the Student Union. And obviously a lot of our players were there. Thing was going along pretty good, and there were some little town thugs that tried to crash the party. And Pablo ran them off. He ran them out of there. They left and went home, and one of them, they came back, and one of them had a sawed-off shotgun. Pablo met him at the door, and he said, "What are you going to do with that?" This guy says, "I'll show you." Raised it up and shot him point blank in the chest and killed him right there in the doorway of the Florida State University Student Union. Coach Bowden called us that night because he had been called to the emergency room at the hospital. And he said, "I want you to have all your players, get your position players in the meeting room and have them there in the morning at 9 o'clock. So we go in that meeting room the next morning, and you could hear a pin drop in that room. I mean, all eyes were on Coach Bowden. Mark Richt, that's the head coach at the University of Miami now, was a graduate assistant there for us at the time. And he said, "Mark, lock all those doors. I don't want anybody in here but players and coaches." And he got up there, and the way we had our meeting room assembled or set up is we had 11 seats in each row. The first row of seats was for the first team offense. The second row of seats was for the first team defense. Third row of seats was for the second team offense. Fourth row of seats was for the second team defense. Coach is standing up there at a podium like I'm standing here talking with you, and he's looking around at the room, and they're looking at him, and it seems like minutes go by before he speaks, and Coach could say more with body language than most people could in a million words. And he's looking at that empty seat on the front row, and he says, "Who's missing?" They said, "Coach, that's Pablo's seat." Coach says, Pablo. Do you suppose yesterday morning when Pablo got up, he thought that this would be the last day of his life? And he let that sink in. We got guys crying, 19 and 20-year-old guys that look like Tarzan, you know, sitting in these rows. These are big men looking up there. And you can see what's in their heart. And then he said, "Now I want you to hear this. If you never hear another word that I say, I want you all to hear this." He said, "When it comes to dying, make sure dying is all you got to do. When it comes to dying, make sure that dying is all you got to do." And then he said, "Now, if you don't understand that," he pulled out his Bible, opened it to the book of Romans, and started with Romans 3:23. "For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." And he read every one of those verses in Romans that we call the Romans road of salvation. So, when it comes to dying and the choices that we make, will you be ready? Will you be ready? When it comes, we don't know the hour or the day or the time that it's going to come. We got a call this week. We had a punter here in the 80s named Rick Tootin. He and his wife were on a vacation in Costa Rica. We got word that he died of a heart attack on a vacation. So what I'm saying is to have a plan. We need a plan. Choose to have a goal. We used to take 3x5 cards, and on the first evening in the fall when they came back to start official football practice, we gave those goal cards out. And we had them write short-term goals and long-term goals. What are my short-term goals for this year? What are my long-term goals? Walk for life. What do I want to do? I'm going to tell you that Deion Sanders had the most prepared and organized gold card of any of the players that ever came through there. He had a copy of it on his locker room door. He had a copy of it in the old car that he drove around. Had a copy of it on the bathroom mirror in his dorm room. So we need to have if reason for that is if somebody wasn't doing what we expected him to do, Coach Bowden had called that guy in to his office, and he kept those gold cards in a little file box. He'd pull out old Joe's gold card, and he'd say, "Now, Joe, you said here that you want to do this. Are you living up to that goal that you set? Are you living up to it?" Have a plan, or you'll just be flopping around out there like a blind dog in a meat house. You need to have a plan. If you want a better job, put more effort into the one you got. The most important choice you can make, though, is to choose Christ, the ultimate role model. We can't do this life thing alone. You can try, but we're not very good at it. We can't do it. The Lord put us here for a purpose. He wants to help us find our groove or our niche. We must first learn to seek Him. And I'm going to give you quickly, I know I had Speech 101 when I was in college, and they said, stand up to be seen, speak up to be heard, and sit down quickly to be appreciated. So I need to do that. But we must first choose to seek Christ. And I'm going to give you 3 ABCs. And those ABCs are to, if I can find those things, I had them right here. I wanted to say them to you. They're right here. You must believe, confess, and repent. Believe, confess, and repent. And follow the Romans road of salvation. So, as we look at our life and what we're trying to do, and Walt touched on it a minute ago about the quality of this ministry. We were playing Texas A&M in one of those kickoff classics up in New York one year, and Coach Bowden was the keynote speaker at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes breakfast for the entire New York area, metropolitan area. And so there must have been 15,000 people at that breakfast. And Coach Bowden pulled out an apple out of his pocket. And he said, and this is what FCA is all about. He said, how many seeds in an apple? 5, 8, 10? Then he said, how many apples in a seed? Thousands. That's what Christ told the disciples at the Last Supper in the Great Commission. Go out and spread the gospel as far as you can reach. We have a helper once we accept Christ. That's the Holy Spirit. It's that still small voice that tells us in Romans 13:9, my grace is sufficient. My grace and mercy is sufficient for you. The Holy Spirit enables us to face the storms of life. So remember those ABCs: admit, believe, and confess. we have the opportunity to make a difference. This organization has a great opportunity to make a difference. If you just turn one life around, you've been successful. Read a story on Billy Graham one time, his first preaching, or there was a revival in his little country town, and Billy Graham was the only one that came forward and accepted Christ. Think about those seeds that were planted that night and how many apples they produced. So with this opportunity to make a difference, identify your gifts and let's go. Befriend someone, call an old friend, be a helping hand at the school, deliver food to the needy, volunteer at a food kitchen, give a warm hello, smiling hello to somebody. To have friends, one must show themselves friendly. To be respected, you must show respect. The way we treat others is indicative of our heart and how we feel. So, with this group, set your standards high, set your goals high, shoot for the moon. If you don't hit it, at least you land among the stars. So I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. If there's anything that we can do, I can do. Miss Alice, where are you? There you are. I appreciate you and your efforts, because the mission field is white for harvest. And we used to look at our coaching responsibility and those young men as the mission field, you know. So appreciate the work that you all do. Wonderful mission. Appreciate listening to Walt tonight. I don't know where he got all of his information. But anyway, it's very interesting. And so we need to turn this over to our, right there, our MC. You're up next.
Okay, so Walt, I now know why you didn't want to speak after him. I have that pleasure. And Patty, I just met you, but I'm going to disagree with you. I think he's quite a speaker. Maybe it's just me, but I was very moved by your words, Coach. I have two words for you, Coach. Living legend. You don't get to meet very many of them very often. There aren't very many of them around. You are one of them, sir, and thank you for sharing your time with us tonight. I'd like to welcome at this time Ms. Monique Jackson, who is the Wellspring Resident Director. She's going to come up and say a few words, and then she's going to introduce our next singer. Welcome.
Hello. How are you guys doing tonight? I hope you guys are having a good night and enjoying your night. I won't be too long. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and what I do at Wellspring. Again, my name is Monique Jackson. I am 26 years old. I am currently a master's student at Florida State University. I have, actually this month, makes a little bit over a year that I've been with Wellspring as their resident director. And in that time, I've just had the opportunity to meet so many strong and inspirational women, whether that's from the board members, the volunteers, and mentors, but mostly the women that I serve as the resident director of Wellspring. Just a little bit about myself. I've always known that I wanted to help people. It's something that's been in me for a long time. I felt it was my purpose. I've always had a very compassionate spirit, and before I started working at WisdomWellspring, I was an IT help desk specialist at the Department of Agriculture. And needless to say, standing behind the desk or sitting behind the desk 9 to 5 was driving me absolutely insane. I'm one of those people, I have to be with people. I like being active and outgoing. And so I was actually doing my undergrad at the same time. So I was a full-time student at Florida A&M University, and I was a full-time worker for the Department of Agriculture. Needless to say, that was very difficult on me, but I ended that semester graduating magna cum laude, so that was awesome for me. And after graduating, I obviously got accepted into two schools, the School of Public Administration and the School of Social Work at Florida State. So I'll be graduating this December as a dual major student, which has proved to be really difficult as well, but I'm getting there. I'm almost there. I think one of the most important aspects of my life that have led me to where I am right now is the fact that I did grow up a former foster child of 15 years, and I'm one of not a lot that have actually beat the statistics against them. And I decided that I wanted to be in the role of a mentor to guide young women like myself to a place where they can become confident in themselves, and of course, with the Lord's help, become very successful and beat any statistical odds that they grew up, had them against them. And that's what a lot of these women in the house that I reside over are. They're fighters, they're survivors. They have stories of hardship and pain, but what is the most amazing thing is I've never seen any of the women in that house give up at all, despite what they've been through, despite the fact that they're in a program because they were almost homeless. They didn't let that beat them. They didn't let it stop them from wanting to aspire to be more. As you heard Pastor Alice say, we have one who just graduated from FAMU with her master's in occupational therapy. We have one going to nursing school. We have a correctional officer. We have a state worker. So these are brilliant, brilliant young ladies. And the last thing I'm going to say, because I want to make sure you guys get to hear this lovely performance that's coming up. How many of you guys have ever failed when you were little? Failed? I know you have. Everybody's hand should be up. Somebody done failed before. And how many of you guys had a hand that came and reached down to you and helped you up? That's what Wisdom's Wellspring is, not only for myself, but for these young ladies. And I want to take the time tonight not to simply tell you about Wisdom's Wellsprings, but to thank you all for being here, because you guys are the hand that is lifting Wisdom's Wellspring up. And we want to say thank you. All right. Before I get off, I wanted to introduce someone who is very, very close to my heart. Her name is Miss Latriva Stallworth. She is a gospel recording artist here in Tallahassee, not only in Tallahassee, but globally. She has a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful voice, and it ministers every time I hear her. So I hope you guys feel what I feel when I hear her sing. We're going to go ahead and bring Miss Latriva Stallworth up. Thank you.
I tell you guys that I thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to share. I affectionately call Moniece my daughter because she's such a great help to me as I have embarked on this singing and entertainment thing on a full-time basis. I grew up in a small town in Chattahoochee, Florida, and my daddy was a preaching machine. And he traveled all over the place, and So I'm kind of mixed up with anything from the gospel to Soul Train to Hee Haw to Lawrence Welk. He was an Alabama man, and he shared such affectionate stories about Bruton, Alabama, and just loving people, no matter who you are. And that's just the kind of gal I am. And not only that, I believe I got a fight in me, because I tell you what, I embarked on this thing full time because I got hurt in such a way that the devil wanted to cast me in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. God said not so. And I believe the report of the Lord, because he says in his word, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. And when I look back over my 48 years, I don't have to keep contemplating and worrying and having sorrow about yesterday. I depend on what he does for me today. And that is the inspiration of this song. The song that I'm going to sing to you, it was written by a fantastic group of sisters called Mary Mary. And this song is called Yesterday. I've had enough heartache. I've had enough headaches. I've had so many ups and downs. Don't know how much more I can take. But I decided that I cried my last tear yesterday. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Either I'm gonna trust you, or I may as well walk away. Stressing don't make it better. It don't make it better no way. So I decided that I cried my last tear yesterday. Oh, yesterday. Yesterday, I decided to put my trust in you. Oh, yesterday, I realized you would bring me through. Hey, there ain't nothing too hard for my God, no. Any problems that I have, he's greater than them all, yeah. So I decided
again, that was the gospel sensation, Miss Latriva Starworth. Ironically, I happen to be her administrative assistant, so you guys can contact me for booking if you'd like. There are cars out in the front as well as CDs for sale. Have a great night.
She does have a CD out there if anyone would like to purchase one. We're going to have a very brief intermission and remind everyone that in about 10 or 15 minutes, the final bids on the silent auctions are going to close. There's coffee, there's dessert out there. We encourage everyone to go outbid the other person right now in this break. But before that, we're actually going to announce our first winner of the evening. Will, would you please come up to the stage? You have actually entered the winning bid of being a good boy. Come on. Look what your prize is.
Here you are, Will.
So let's all go get some coffee, dessert, and outbid each other, okay? We'll be back in about 10 or 15 minutes.
Hello. Hey everybody. I just wanted to get up here today to let you all know that y'all better get some food to go because I'm about to go over there and tear it up. All right, God bless y'all, and thank you all for being here tonight and being sponsors for Wisdom Wellsprings. Ma'am? But don't leave after you get your to-go plate because we've got an auction to do. $10 to go. Yeah, $10 to go. Yeah, y'all better get y'all plates for I eat it. I eat a lot. I know I look small, real small, but I eat a lot. All right, everyone. Have a blessed night. Really just wanted some attention, guys. I've been at work all day, behind the desk, like what Mo was talking about, by myself, no one to talk to. How y'all doing today, tonight? I'm good. I'm blessed. Really? They get free to-go plates? I feel like you can argue them down. Today has been a lovely day, guys. I just started my state job. Haven't made any friends yet. This is my best friend, guys. We've been friends since elementary school. Inseparable ever since.
Okay, we got a job for you next year, sweetie. Okay, I just want to remind everybody we are about to close down the silent auction. So this is your time to go out there and sneak in that last bid to outbid everybody else. There's some great things out there. So it's the last, we've got like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, Ron. 10, 9, 8. Okay, if you start running out there, we'll give you more time, but 8, 9. Okay. There are people out in the lobby. There might be some wrestling going on, but go shut it down, Dana. Come back. Get ready for the live auction. Turn me on. All right, everybody, let's come back in because we're about to have a live auction, and we have some one-of-a-kind items for you to bid on this evening. We're really, really excited about what we have. I would like to introduce to you Vanna, also known as Ron Watson. And we are going to start with the item at the very end. Ron, if you will hold that item up. This is a one-of-a-kind. Hopefully you got a chance to look at it. It is what is called a quill or quilling. And if you don't know what that is, it is teeny tiny slips of paper that are rolled and made into a design. Once upon a time, I did a quill, and I gave up after about an hour. So it is a lot of work. It's very tedious. Gorgeous, gorgeous piece. So this room is long. So y'all are going to have to yell out, and Vanna's going to help me try and see who's yelling. So can I get a start on this item at $15? Who will give us $15? Come over here. You got to yell. Okay, what about 20? Oh, I hear the 20. Where's 25? I heard another 25 over here. 30? You got to yell. Come on. 30? 35? One-of-a-kind piece. Come on. Come on. Dig deep. Dig deep. 35? 35. Do we have 40? 40. Do we have, let's go ahead and do 50. Come on. Dig deep. We take credit cards. We do take credit cards. 50. 50. Come on. Come on. 45? 45. Okay, how about 50? 50. 50 over here. How about 55? We're getting warmed up now. This is just the warm-up. How about 55? Okay. Okay, going once. Going twice. Sold for $50. Actually, she needs to pay. Actually, if you'll put it, we can just put it back, and then we'll trade. If you really want to hold it because you're afraid somebody's going to take it, you. Okay. The next item that we have is, what is the next item that we have? This is a autographed mini Jaguars helmet. We have to thank Walt Culbertson for this. He is our web master and guru, and you heard him earlier today. This is autographed by Paul Pawlowski. Okay. He's a middle linebacker. I do know that. And he's really good, and he went to Penn State, and now he plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so we're going to start this one at $10. $10 at 15, 15, 20, 20, 25, 25, 30, 30, 35, 50. Okay, we're at 50. How about 50, 55? Okay, how about 60? It worked. Well, you don't know. There could be somebody at 60. Okay, how about 65? 65, gentlemen, 65. Come on, dig deep, dig deep. 60, how much? 75? 65. 75, Ron, did I hear 75? Yep. I heard 75. How about 80? 80? 80? It's, he could be in the Hall of Fame one day. Come on, it could be worth hundreds. Could be worth hundreds one of these days. Okay. How much? You're at 75? Okay, it's going for 75, folks. Going once. Going twice. Don't let him get it. Come on. Sold for $75. Okay. Okay, I hope y'all are warmed up now, because I need y'all to dig deep. Dig deep. Yeah, we have a autographed book by David Ross. Okay, we'll just go ahead and start this one off at what? Say 50? Will you take it at 50? Okay, 25. We'll go down to 25. Is it yours for 20? Okay, 25. How about 30? 30. Okay, how about 35? How much? 35? We got a 30. What about 35? 35. 40? Come on, folks. 40. How about 45? How about 50? Come on. Come on. Autographed by David Ross. He just won the World Series. 50? 55. Okay. How about 60? 60. 70? Come on. We're 70? 75. Oh, don't let it go for 75, folks. World Series. Come on. And runner-up for Dancing with the Stars. How much was that? How much was that? Barbara, what was that? 80? No? Okay, it's going to go for 75. I can't believe it. Okay, going once, going twice, sold for 75. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that, yep. Coach Jamie Shoup brought an autograph ball and some hats for us. He former FSU player, played in the pros, and is now coaching for Florida A&M. I'm going to start out at $15. Okay, got 2 for 15, so who's going to give me 20? 20, 25, 25. How about 30? How about 35? 35, 40? 40, how about 45? Okay, 45, how about 50? How about 50? How about 50? Joe, how about 50? 50. Okay, I'm glad you beat yourself. How about 55? Come on. One day, he is going to be in the Coaching Hall of Fame. 55. Woohoo! How about 60? 60? 60? Okay. How about 65? 65? How about 75? 75? 75? 75? Sold to the gentleman in the garnet shirt for 75? 75. That's what I thought he said.
I thought it was 175.
175, okay. I hold the strings to that checkbook, so you know. Either one. Okay, let's do the package. Okay, we actually have a package deal for you guys. A package deal. Okay, we have a book. It is The Bowden Dynasty. You guys may have seen the movie, read the book yourself. This was written by Charlie Barnes with Bobby Bowden. It is autographed by Charlie Barnes, a friend of Wisdom's Wellsprings, and we're packaging it with a one-of-a-kind painting. This painting was done by a New Orleans street artist, and Coach Gladden has agreed to whoever wins this, he will get Bobby Bowden to autograph it for them. So dig deep. Father's Day is Sunday, mamas. Pull out the checkbook, okay? We take credit cards. We're going to start this one at 25. 25, 30. How about 35? Come on, folks. 35. How about 50? 50, thank you. How about 55? Okay, how about 60? Folks, one of a kind. 60. 65. 65 back there. How about 70? 70. How about 75? Did I get a 75 over here? I saw somebody scratch. Come on. One of a kind. One of a kind. Autographed by Bobby Bowden. Come on, folks. We're at 75. 75. All right. How about 80? 80. 90. 100. No? Okay. Oh, no, because if they don't say anything, it keeps going up. The value keeps going up. This painting by itself is worth 100, folks. More. 100, thank you. 105. Check. Credit cards. We take credit cards. Okay. So, 105. Thank you, Sylvia. 105. Okay, 110. Warm up. 110. All right. Woo! Ron's just taking it over there. Okay, how about 115? 115. 115. All right. How about 125? 125. It's going to be autographed by Bobby Bowden. 125. You're getting a deal. 125. We are at 125, I promise. Okay, sold to Sylvia for 120. Oh, no, well, I'm asking Sylvia, you going up? What? Okay, 120. Do we have one? I'm going once. 125. Thank you. How about I'm gonna be broke? If somebody else doesn't bid, 130. 130. Sylvia, come on, 130. Come on. Ken really wants this for Father's Day. 130. Come on, Sylvia. Ken wants it. 126, Sylvia. 126. Come on. What? Okay, 126. We got 126. How about 127? Okay, going once. All right, 127. How about 128? Come on, Sylvia. 128. Ken wants this. 127.50. Woohoo! All right. Okay, what about 120? What about 128.50? Okay, going once, going twice. Sold to Sylvia for 128.50. Okay, and Coach Gladden will get that autographed and get that back to you. Can you get? Woo! She got a bonus. That means you have to pay us 50 more cents. Yes, you can. Please, sir.
You know, Coach Bowden, when we first came here, the cry of the boosters and the fans of Tallahassee at Florida State, the cry was if we could just ever beat the Gators. If we can just ever beat them. Then it was if we could just ever get back to a bowl game. Coach Bowden has the only winning record over Steve Spurrier at the University of Florida. When we came here, Florida State University was just a mid-level university. The stadium seated 38,000 when we got here. When I left, retired, it seated 85,000. The facility that you see out there right now would not be here if it wasn't for Coach Bowden. You know, I mean, Jimbo's done an outstanding job of keeping it going. but Coach Bowden laid the cornerstone. We were like a Kent State or an Akron University when I came here. It didn't become relevant in the football world till we went out in 1980 and beat Nebraska at Lincoln when they were #1 in the country. We didn't have a national brand. The national brand is right there. And you got a great deal by a great man. Let me say this. Coach Bowden is the finest human being, man, that I've ever been around. He's the most godly man that I've ever been around. And someday, everybody will really understand that. Someday. But I want to tell you what a great thrill and pleasure it was to work for Coach Bowden. We started every meeting with a devotion. The very first staff meeting, he told our coaches, we will start every staff meeting with a devotion. I want it to be scriptural, but if you're uncomfortable with that, make it inspirational. No more than 5 minutes. But we started every staff meeting that I was out there with a devotional. And we've seen death. We've seen coaches lose their children, coaches lose their wives. We've been able to look on a man's heart when you start every morning and you go to the Lord and talk to him. You find out an awful lot about everybody that you work with. And that one right there was the very best, I can tell you.
I'll make her play more. Don't worry, Coach Glad. Okay, the next item up for bid is an autographed baseball. I do want to let you guys know that this baseball was donated by a gentleman, Doug Treadway, who played for FSU baseball. He is an insurance agent now at Andrew Jackson Insurance. So if you need insurance, check out Doug. I want to give him a plug. He couldn't be here tonight because he's actually out helping young men try and get some scholarships. I guess Coach Shoop, I should send Coach Shoop to him. But he donated this baseball. It was signed by the 2011 FSU baseball team. 30 players' signatures are on here, plus Coach Mike Martin. Of those players on that team, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 went to the pros. Of those 3 are playing in the major leagues right now, and Sean Gilmartin, Robbie Scott, and Devon Travis. Sean Gilmartin plays for the Mets, Robbie Scott plays for the Red Sox, and Devon Travis plays for the Blue Jays. So they are in the majors, and then other players played. Taiwan Easterly was on this team for you FSU football fans, but I could not find his signature. I might have to give it to Coach Gladden and have him take a look, see if he can find it. I don't know. So we are going to start this one off at $25. Guys, it is already ready. 25. How about 30? Come on. Dig deep. Sunday is Father's Day. Come on, $30. 30, thank you. 35. 40. 45. 45. Come on. 45. 50. This baseball is worth more than that, I can tell you. I see a 50 over there. Thank you. 55. 60. Thank you. 65. 65. 65. 65. It's worth way more than that. 65. Come on. 65. How about 70? 70. Thank you, 70. 75. 75. 75. 75. I know. I heard. Was that your hand going raised? Oh, Sally, your husband bid $75. I saw him. He raised his hand. Okay. 75. She says no. I say yes. 75. Somebody help Sally's husband out and say 80. Say 80. I need to hear an 80. 80. Thank you. How about 85? Whew, you got loose, Sally. $80. 85? Come on. It's worth more than that. It's worth a lot more than that. Okay, 85. 85. 90? Father's Day. 90. 90. Come on, don't let it go. Don't let it go for 85. Come on, 90. 95. Thank you very much. I'm going to be broke. I need 100, so I'm not broke. Come on, somebody bid 100. You can sell it for double on eBay. Come on, $100. Come on, come on, come on. Going once. Oh, yes, $100. Okay, how about 105? Okay, how about 110? I'll let you borrow the 5. 110. Come on, no. Come on. Oh, I can't believe y'all letting this go for this. Okay, going once. Mike, I see you over there, 110. Nope. Going twice. Don't let it go for this much. Come on, 110. Sold for 105. Okay, I hope y'all have been all holding out for this last auction item. Because this last auction item has, Coach Gladden, thank you so much for donating this item. It has 3 coaching shirts in it. You're going to wish you waited, Joe. 3 coaching shirts, 2 hats, brand new coaching shirts, right? It's got autographed pictures of Bobby Bowden, Jimbo Fisher, and Coach Gladden. And it also has tickets to a speaking event for the Coach Gladden is the speaker at the Tallahassee Quarterback Club, and tickets for that. Coach Bowden, Coach Bowden. So, oh wow! So the basket itself was given to Coach Gladden for when they played in the Fiesta Bowl. So one of those times they played in the Fiesta Bowl, one of the many times. So we are going to start this one. We're going to start it to get you warmed up. Autograph. I said autograph. Signature, autograph. They mean the same thing, Ron. That's why Vanna doesn't usually talk. But you're going to start at 100. Thank you, Ron. How about 105? 150. How about 200? How about 200, Ron? 155. Okay, how about 60? 160. How about 175? Okay, how about 180, Ron? Okay, how about 180, Joe? Okay, how about 200? Okay, 185. 185. How about 200? Okay, how about 205? 225. How about 300? Okay, how about 250? How about 250? 250. Come on, Michelle in the back. 250. Did I see you raise your hand? No? Okay. How about, I can't remember where I'm at now because I picked on Michelle. We're at 250, so 275. No, well, shh. Then I'll just say 250. Okay, 250, 275. Come on. That is a bargain. Come on. We're okay, 255. How about 275? There we go. Okay, we're warming up. We're getting warm. 270. Who said 300? Oh, no. You're out, Dana. Okay. 275.50, Dana said. So how about 280? 280? Folks, 280? That, I heard a two. No, come on, 280. 280. How about 290? 300. There we go. Now we're warmed up. 300. How about 305? No. Come on, 325. No, that was you saying once. 325. 325. Oh man, come on. We take credit cards. I'm telling you, you can go into debt and we'll help you work it off. We're at 300? Yes, ma'am. Okay, going once. I hate saying this. Come on, think about it. It's a good cause, a good cause. Good cause. Sylvia, was that a 325? No, I'm telling your husband, come spray my yard, give me more money. Okay. Going twice. Oh, come on, you're killing me. Sold for $300, and Ron is wiping his brow. Okay.
Two of those items up there, the picture of Coach Bowden in that book, I'll pick those up from Alice on Monday. You'll just give them that, Miss Alice. And who bought the basket?
Ron did.
Okay, the bundle. That in that basket were 3 sideline coaching shirts, that our staff wears on game day. And but the picture of Jimbo, Alice told me that somehow water got spilled on the picture and messed the picture up. I'll bring another autographed picture of Jimbo.
For $50 more.
Bring another autographed picture of Jimbo on Monday. So I'll pick that picture of Coach Bowden up along with the book. I'll bring that picture of Jimbo, the replacement. So I'll take care of that. And being Alice fan, got to make sure Coach Bowden is in town. He was out of town this week in Missouri.
Yep.
He's getting back in town. As soon as he gets back, I'll get that signed.
All board members will tell you, I hug everybody.
Thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you. We do have the winners of our silent auction. So the winner of the Red Eye Coffee Basket is Michelle Larson. That's why she didn't bid extra money on that. So Michelle, you won that one. The winner of the Alabaster wine glasses and sparkling juice or non-alcoholic wine was Tina Crowder Oaks. Woohoo! She's excited. The winner of the Lucky Goat coffee and cups was Linda. Now I know where all the money went. The winner of the Impressionist oil painting of palm trees is Kathy Tomaselli. Oh, right. Oh, I said it right. Yay. The winner of the 4th of July Fun Picnic Basket went to Tina Crowder Oaks. That's why she couldn't bid. I can't read this one. The winner of the Western Mountain Lion by Charles France was Candy Jane. Okay, she paid. She knew she won. Okay. And she won another one. She's already paid for that. The Gardener's Basket, Debbie Bass won that one. The Lithograph bird painting went to Denise Fletcher. Yay! The lithograph cardinal by Ray Harm went to Teresa Moffett. Teresa Morris. I can't read. The fun artwork went to Amy Rooks. And the runner's basket went to Amy Rooks. So we're going to pull from our raffle. This is for the mug. Pull out your tickets if you put money in there. So the last 4 digits are 8392. 8392. Do we have a winner? Uh-oh, we got people digging. 8392. Oh, it's Debbie. Yay, Debbie's a big winner tonight. That was for the mug. Okay. This is for the mouse pad. Debbie's got a lot of tickets. She may have won again. It's 8391. Woo! Yay! It is Kathy Tomaselli. Okay, for the cheese book, it is 8387. John Tomaselli. Woohoo! The Tomasellis are racking up.
All right,
And for the bicycle.
Bam.
Okay, for the Debbie Bass. Okay. Those are all of our auction items tonight. I really, really want to thank all of you that came out and supported Wisdom's Wellsprings. We are truly grateful for all of you and for all that you do, how you help us. My father wrote a poem, and he was a teacher, and so he used to say this poem before every single one of his classes. And he had a graduating class, and the valedictorian started saying this poem at graduation, and every single student in that graduating class could say it, and it went like this: today is the beginning of a new day, one which can alter and illuminate the times in which you live. God has given you this day to use as you will. May it be for good, not evil, joy, not sorrow, success, not failure, so you will not regret the price that was paid. And I leave you with that and with Libby O'Neill playing some music for us. If you enjoyed the food and would like to take some home for tomorrow so that you don't have to cook tomorrow, or we have to-go boxes for $10.
All right, I've got one last song to finish out the evening. It was an honor to be part of this evening with everyone here. And I heard a lot of people talk about hope tonight, so that's what this song is about. Go out with all you know and meet the world outside your door. There's so much waiting there. It's all that you've been asking for. It's rising in the east, a hope beyond your wildest dreams. So turn and face the sun, illuminate the darkest hour, 'cause you know I've been longing to say this honestly to you. I haven't given up. I haven't given all I've got, and I'm not letting up. I haven't given all I've got. So what's left in your way that can't be all that's stopping you? Take the world today and seize the vision in your mind, 'cause you know I want so badly to say this honestly to you. I haven't given up. I haven't given all I've got, and I'm not letting up. I haven't given all I've got. I haven't given up. I haven't given all I've got, and I'm not letting up. I haven't given all I've got. Go out with all you know and meet the world outside your door. There's so much waiting there. It's all that you've been asking for. Thank you. Good night, everyone.